All right, welcome back to another video. It's going to be video number 3. So we're going to be covering keyword research. We're going to look at search terms. We're going to evaluate cost per click and see if it makes sense on a profit level. From there, we're going to dive a bit into the SEO side. Take a look at how we're optimized, where we are optimized compared to our competitors, root words, and just all that good stuff there. So let's jump into the search terms, and just this is more or so trying to get a feel for the market. So this is our product right here. Currently at 4.5 stars, priced at $49.99, which I can see is much higher than the rest of the competition. Revenue is roughly around 10,000. Keyword percentage around 83% for all the big keywords, and then the search for volume share is 90%. So with this product is doing very well in terms of compared to the competitors on a SEO standpoint. Search terms. So we have roughly about 112 total unique search terms. There could be more. However, it's not going to be that much more from what we see here. So this tells me that we have low keyword depth. So generally, when you have low keyword depth, you have more competition. Your cost per click generally will rise because everyone's going after the same keywords, and you have less opportunity to take over long tail keywords. So we're going to take a look at this just a bit, and then we're going to do some analysis that I like to do with price. So I'm going to more or less ballpark this. It's kind of hard to see, but generally you have keywords that are going for 35, 67, 70, 40. And then you have a couple in the dollar ones, but maybe these are cubes, so they're probably not as relevant. So our cost per click is probably in the 70, 80 cents range is my best guess. But let's go do an exercise that I generally like to do when I'm evaluating these Asins. So price is out of the competitive zone. We know that. We saw that $49.99. We saw what most of the other ones were priced at. I'll generally kind of estimate a lot of this. So with a price like that, you'll generally find COGS much lower. 20% is what I set it at. FBA fees around 30%. Referrals 15%. Cost per click I set at 75 cents, just based on the suggested bid that I found up here. Okay, so with all that said, I will then start to perform a elasticity test. Basically, with a change in my conversion rate, what does it do to my margin? So I'm estimating 100 clicks, and this is the data that comes out of it. So being priced at where we're at, we're able to generate gross margin percentages at around 5%, 20%, 25%, 27%. So some of these margins right here are very healthy, as long as I can have a conversion rate at around 10%. So I'll always keep that in mind, so that when I'm actually tracking my conversion rate stats, this would be the golden number. I know that if I'm less than 10%, it's actually going to be very hard to generate a profit here. So generally you want to keep it a little bit higher, because it's hard to run a business at around 5%. So that's how I like to think of it. So let's do a secondary analysis here. So let's just say we set our price down to something more competitive. We run through the numbers, do the same elasticity, and you can see that I need to convert, for me anyways, must be at least higher than 10%, more likely 15 to 20% minimum. Generally, I don't like to run at a percentage that's less than 10% here as a margin. So really hovering around here would be the golden range here. So around 15%. If I can achieve that at this price, then I know where my limits on price is. So this is more important for later in the teardown, when we try to understand where our rankings are, because generally rankings is impacted by conversion rate, and price has a high influence on conversion rate. So that's why I like to understand this now to see what I need to get to, so I know what margin I'll need to get. Okay, so let's dive into the SEO side of things now. So we're taking a look at search volume percentage. We're around 75%. Exact matches, we have about a 48%. We're on 85% of the routes and 97% of the search volume. So when it comes to the SEO side, the listing is at the very top and it's better than all the other competitors. This makes sense because the percentage here for keywords on page 1 is high. So basically giving the listing its best chance to be indexed across all the routes and all the different keywords. So that will just solve the indexing side and being able to deliver traffic. Diving now to the routes, I generally like to look at title, broad, we got title, bullet points, description, and looking at individual root words. And I would only look at a double if it has a good amount of volume, etc. So I'll start off with just singles, so single words. We got organizer, closet, hanging, travel, suitcase, carry, luggage, shelves, clothes, and packing. We're taking a look at the title. So I generally will want to have every single one of these keywords in the title. So I can see that shelves is not. That could be something that I could add in. The search volume does kind of fall off compared to everything else, but definitely if I had the ability to keep it in there, I definitely would. I noticed clothes is not in there. However, we're getting down to broad search volumes that are much, much lower here. So more or less, these are the big ones up here where we have sufficient coverage on all fronts. So generally, that's probably why on an SEO standpoint, it's way up there. So not too much of a concern. And then for the exact match, I generally like to go down the list and try to make sure that each one of these keywords is in the title. It just kind of helps when you kind of start off on the indexing side. So that's kind of like looking at these green check boxes for the title, which is there in most of these cases. You can't have them all. You just want the most impact, and that seems to be done well on the root word side as well as the top exact match side. That's about it on the SEO side. In the next video, we're going to go through the main images and secondary images and see what themes we can find and how to kind of optimize this section a bit better. Stay tuned.